down to whether or not he can remain healthy through an NBA season. But he's off to a fantastic start, and Harry, props to you, man.
It was a great stat. Well done, Harry. Pablo, last word?
You know, I've been waiting to do this, too. If we can call up my stat that I prepared, the Pablo Torre Stats and Info giant poster board that I... Okay. I actually collected numbers.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going everybody the wrong way.
This is injustice, is what this is.
He's gone. He's gone forever.
I've been doing this show for a dozen years. Now he gets a
Look how
stat
small he
thing.
is.
Why does he get a stat thing?
Coming up,
You gotta get
the
a
NFL's
collective score,
first
right? Come
game in Germany.
Played collegiately and professionally, obviously. What do you think is going to stand out with Frankfurt on Sunday?
What?
The fans.
What?
The fans. I mean, I talked to Ted.
Donovan at Florida School of Journalism covering the game. We love to see it. Way to
These
go,
young
Ben.
people,
The
the kids,
Paid for that trip.
all of these kids, way too much.
They're going to get this work, Tyreek Hill said. This is his first game versus his old teammates. Tua back to MVP betting favorite versus Mahomes off the worst game of his career. Here's the debate, Lindsay. Would you rather have Tua or Mahomes Sunday?
Well, you guys want to be all big on graphics. I have a graphic. I have an Instagram that I follow called Taylor Swift Jets. Is she going to be there or is she not going to be there? Because that depends on who I'm picking. And I'm only kind of joking. But I'd rather be Patrick Mahomes because of his defense. That defense ranks number 2 in the league, allowing 16.1 points per game. So even though that offense hasn't looked stunning, I trust the Chiefs' defense to get the job done.
Harry, who'd you rather have, Tua or Mahomes Sunday?
Tony, the Dolphins are averaging 10.5 points per game more than the Chiefs this year. They have one of the fastest, most exciting offenses we've ever seen, and I still want Patrick Mahomes. He is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game of football.
Okay.
I will pick him in every single game until he retires.
I mean, you put me down a path there. I thought you were going the other way. But, Kevin, I ask you now. We've done a lot of previews in our 21 years, always about the quarterbacks. Would you rather have Tua and his receivers on Sunday or Mahomes and his receivers?
Let me get Harry Lyles' car back on the road in the direction it was headed. I would rather have Tua and the top offense in the NFL. Just think about it. Even Kansas City, all the things we say about them, they haven't lit up the scoreboard that much this year. Tua lights up the scoreboard every weekend.
And Pablo Torre.
Yeah, I'm going to be a Mahomes guy on this. I feel like, I think about what Tyreek Hill was asked. Like, okay, when the play breaks down, what do you recommend to the Dolphins defense? His advice was go find Travis Kelce. Everybody has been trying to find Travis Kelce for a decade. They really haven't figured it out. Last week feels like a bump, Tony, in the road of this metaphorical road that I'm torturing the metaphor of here. I believe that Patrick Mahomes knows how to navigate that road better than anybody you've ever seen, basically.
Okay.
Taylor Swift found it.
I think we were splitting that one more or less. We'll move on. Buy or sell 2 Cowboys at Eagles. Remember last week on his podcast, Micah Parsons said Philly was number 1 in his rankings? So, Harry, the key matchup in this one, and for the Cowboys to pull it off, what would it take?
For them to even have a shot, you got to slow down the best wide receiver in football right now, and that's A.J. Brown. He has an NFL record 6 consecutive games with 125 yards. So you got to get pressure on Jalen Hurts, but, man, if you don't cover A.J. Brown, you don't got a shot.
Kevin Blackstone?
I would agree with that, but I would say that the Cowboys, they're only a 3-point dog on the road. That's not much. Maybe C.D. Lamb and Dak Prescott, if they can get in the end zone a couple of times, can change that whole
Pablo
story.
Torre?
I would say eat a lot. Their defensive line in Dallas, Tony, is way too light to handle the tush push. And so that's going to happen. I just hope you guys, get seconds this week before the game.
And Lindsay Theory.
They've got to be the first to stop the tush push, and they have to find a way to slow down A.J. Brown. He's been unstoppable 6 consecutive games with 125 receiving yards. That's the longest streak in NFL history. No one else has been able to stop him. The Cowboys have to figure out a way if they want to win.
I'm sensing you're with Philadelphia in this game, though, Lindsay. Is that right?
Yeah.
That is right. I am with
Pablo?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah. That
Philly.
tush.
Harry Lyles.
Eagles.
We'll move on. Buy or sell 3 Bills at Bengals. Lindsay, this is the game you're covering for our network, the key matchup in this one. And who would you rather be?
I would rather be the Bengals. Joe Burrow says he's 100% from that calf injury. I watched him last week in San Francisco. Sensational. 3rd and long in the first drive of the game. Escaped Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa. He is unstoppable right now as the Bills are still to try and figure out their identity. So I'm all Joe Burrow right now.
Harry Lyles Jr.
Yeah, Tony, the Bills have been up and down ever since they beat the snot out of the Dolphins, and the Bengals are finally back. It is Joe Burrow season. They have won 3 consecutive games. He's had 8 touchdowns, just 2 picks in that span, and they're averaging the 3rd most points in the NFL. I'm going with Cincinnati.
Kevin Blackstone.
The most impressive thing about Joe Burrow last week, I thought, was nothing that he did through the air, but it was that long scramble that he had up the middle, dodging some people, which really made you understand when he says he's healthy, he actually is healthy. So you got to go with them. There's too many question marks still about the Bills, even at this point in the season.
And Pablo Torre.
But hold on, the word cloud of this topic has been Joe Burrow in 9,000-point font. Allow me to say the name of his defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, who just coached the game of his life, it seemed like, last week. The guy is excellent, and I just want to point out, when the Bengals do win this game, as I believe they will, it's not just going to be because they outscore the other team, it's because their defensive coordinator and their defense is way, way underrated, as everybody has now proven again.
Defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo has a few games of his life. He beat Patrick Mahomes a few times as
Also
well.
now.
So he schemed that. All right, so everybody's on Cincinnati. Oh, my goodness. Everyone on Cincinnati, everyone Philadelphia.
Not really.
Everyone in Kansas City except for Lyles. All right. We'll see how it plays out. Picks you make equal the mutes you take. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Pablo. Harry Lyles Jr., Kevin Blackstone. Showdown next. Kevin Blackstone, good luck in Showdown. College weekend. Most of the goodies involve teams outside the playoffs at the moment. LSU at Alabama, Washington at USC, Kansas State at Texas, Oklahoma State. And then maybe there's a surprise for number 2, Georgia, Missouri, a ranked team. What's the biggest game with the biggest repercussion this weekend, Harry?
Tone, I know people are excited for Bedlam, but you know what they say. Anything can happen in Bedlam, except for Oklahoma State winning. I'm going with Alabama and LSU. Alabama and LSU.
Wow.
This is for the SEC West.
Wow.
This is Jaden Daniels, the best college football player in the last 5 weeks. Alabama's also looking good. That's the one.
KB?
Well, I scouted Alabama 2 weekends ago in Tuscaloosa with Tennessee there. They had the big comeback there. They have righted their ship. The big one this weekend is Michael Penix versus Caleb Williams at USC, whether or not USC can put a little L on the Washington team.
Harry Lyles is just taking a flamethrower today to everybody. We'll move on. Seahawks at Ravens, 2 first-place teams Sunday. So another important matchup this weekend. Can the Seahawks win on the road in Baltimore, Kevin?
No, they can't. The Ravens are number 1 in defense. They're number 1 in running the ball. Lamar Jackson's completing 70% of his passes. This is a very real team here in the Ravens. Stop questioning it.
Yeah, this is Lamar Jackson's time of year, 15-2 at home in November or later. I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. The Seahawks have been good, but it's not going to be their day on Sunday.
You're split. First place teams. We'll move on. Showdown 3. I've been waiting all show for this. The NBA in-season tournament begins today. It's got the catchy name, NBA in-season tournament, and it's got the eye-catching courts. How do you see this going over, Harry?
I think it'll go over fine. I love NBA basketball anyway it's served to me. To me, it feels though like this is seasoning for the casual fan. We're dressing it up so it seems like there's more stakes, and it's also going to get guys out on the court because there's incentive to play, cash.
You think? Okay. KB?
You know, I know this is in Europe where you have these in-season soccer tournaments, but I love the WBC, and I think people this year came to love the WBC, so good for the NBA to try something like this. I'm all in.
WBC, not exactly in season, though.
It's not in
Doesn't
season,
happen
but
in the
kind
middle
of
of the
a thing.
week on a Tuesday and Friday. Harry Lyles, what a show today. Take the FaceTime.
You know, one college football game we did not discuss going on this weekend is James Madison. They're coming here to Atlanta to play Georgia State at Center Park Stadium at the old Turner Field, the Undead Ted, as some of us call it. It's going to be a great football game. James Madison, they're not keeping up with their stats because of their transition from FCS to FBS. They've got one of the best, most disruptive defensive lines in all of college football. Georgia State is having the best season in school history. Darren Granger, their quarterback, is incredible. If you haven't seen him, Marcus Carroll, great running back for them. Last year, this game was 42-40. It's going to be a great one. The Sun Belt is doing college football right in a time where a lot of things are not going the way that people like. It's still traditional. They're keeping up good matchups, good teams, regional rivalries. Watch that game on Saturday, 3:30, ESPN2.
And it's daylight savings time.
It is, Kevin.
Yes.
You can bring that watch. That doesn't work.
My
That's
G-Watch.
You can bring it back.
G-Shock on
There
the
you go.
time.